ist es Hongkong, welche nicht ins Renngeschehen eingreifen können. Die ersten 3 Boote, sie werden sich für das Halbfinale A, B qualifizieren.
So these crews now at 600 metres gone, and it's, as I say, the top 3 to go through to the AB semi-final. So with the withdrawal of the crew from New Zealand, it is now the race not to be last. Leading out the field, it was Aldersley and Triggs of Australia, and they had a comfortable margin ahead of the USA, Russia and Froelich.
Es ist immer noch das Boot aus Australien, welches das Rennen anführt. Sie bauen ihren Vorsprung leicht auf, aber dahinter ist es noch offen, wer 2 und 3 einnehmen wird. Momentan die besseren Karten für die USA, aber es ist noch nicht mal die Rennhälfte erreicht. Also da ist durchaus etwas Spannung zu erwarten. And I have a quick question to all of my co-commentators. In this race, there is a world best time holder racing. So my question is, who is that world best time holder?
Is there a prize on offer? So, yeah, it is, I believe, I'm going to ask Stuart because Stuart knows.
Yeah, Olympia Aldersley in the women's double scull.
And which event?
Oh, the women's double scull.
Oh, she holds the best time with the women's double scull. See, I'm paying attention. Just coming up on the 1,000 metre mark now, and it is Australia leading it out here. Just a little bit of clear water back then to the USA crew, just by its say, but Canvas of Clearwater, who in turn have half a length over the crew from the Netherlands. They're the 1, 2 and 3 all safely through the 1,000 metre mark, and a little bit further back then to the crews from Hong Kong, and I can't see the New Zealand crew there. And yeah, all safely through the 1,000 metre mark, and going with form here with the Aussie crew were the fastest out of the races earlier on this morning and leading it out here through 1,000 metres.
Bei 1200 Metern führt die Mannschaft aus Australien und sie liegen bereits etwa mit 1,5 Längen Vorsprung vor den praktisch gleich aufliegenden Holländerinnen und Amerikanerinnen. Am Schluss des Feldes haben wir dann Hongkong. Es wird sich wahrscheinlich nicht sehr viel ändern auf den ersten 3 Plätzen, also in Führung nach wie vor Australien vor USA und Netherlands.
So the Australians with the lead through 1,250 metres, looking very comfortable out in front as they went through that early stages. The USA 2 crew are sitting in second place, that's Russia and Froelich, and then the Netherlands 2 crew of Kolkman and Mulder sitting in third place. So that's our 1, 2 and 3 to go through to the A and B semi-final with the Hong Kong crew of, that's Wong and Leong, Hong Kong, China, to go through to the C final. So first 3 to go through to the A and B semi-final. Hong Kong, as things stand, to go through to the C final. Conditions have improved so far as the wind goes. A little bit earlier on, the wind was so strong that you would have been rating about 36 to try and stay still. The wind has largely died down. There's not the waves coming down the course anymore, but there is a little bit of rain. Not a huge amount, but enough certainly to make life interesting as you're going down. The Australians with that lead now through 1,500. It's just closed up a little bit. So USA 2 sitting in second place. They're only a second and a half back, and then another second back to the Netherlands 2 crew in third place, and then plenty of clear water between our leading 3 crews and Hong Kong, China. So I dare say what we'll find is that the first 3 crews will just lower that rating down a little bit. Well, they're still rating quite highly, actually. It's 37, 36 and 35 for the Netherlands, Australia and the USA, and then back a bit further to Hong Kong, who are about 27 seconds back in fourth place at the moment. So our leading 3 crews, certainly not a lot to pick between them as they come down into the red buoys, marking 250 metres to go. And Camilla, it's, well, you could just about throw a blanket over those leading 3 crews.
Yeah, they're not letting the rain dampen their final sprint, that's for sure, because all of these crews are aggressively fighting for the lead in the final 250 metres. And in fact, just as I'm talking, that Australian crew of Oldersey and Triggs that have led the majority of this race have just fallen victim to this charge from Kolkman and Mulder of the Netherlands, who are in turn also being chased by the USA. A three-boat finish coming in towards the line here in this repechage of the women's pairs.
Ja, 3 Boote nähern sich miteinander auf die Ziellinie. Momentan hat das Boot aus den Niederlanden die Bugspitze etwas weiter vorne, aber nicht weit zurück ist es. Die USA und Australien können hier die Niederländer wirklich den Sieg noch holen oder werden sie noch abgefangen. Im Moment sieht es so aus, dass sie ihre Nase vorne halten können.
The rain just adding to the drama here, but it will be the Netherlands, half a canvas over the USA. The early leading Australians will fall back into third, but third still good enough to get them through to the AB semi-finals here in the women's pair. Through to the C final and the final crew coming in towards those red boys now, Wang Shanyi and Lung King Wan of Hong Kong, China in the women's pairs.
So already through 1,000 metres, it's the next race. They're going to come down fast and furious, and we're on now with the repechage in the men's pairs. They came through the 1,000 metres. Leading it out was the USA through 500 and through 1,000. New Zealand very much in touch with just 0.3 of a second back in second place. They're the 1 and 2 at the moment. They've Clearwater then back to the crew from the young Italian twins, just 20 years of age, back in third place at the moment, ahead then of the crew from Hong Kong. Of course, in this race, we've 2 crews that did not start, the Italy one and the Australian crew as well. So just 4 crews here with 3 to qualify for the final. At the moment, it's looking like it's good for USA, New Zealand and Italy too.
Ja, genau. Die USA hat jetzt die Führung. Neuseeland hat die Führung übernommen gegenüber USA und führt nun mit einer Dreiviertellänge Vorsprung vor den USA 2, dann an dritter Stelle, etwa 2 Längen zurück, Italien 2 und am Schluss des Feldes Hongkong. Die beiden Boote Italien 1 und Australien 1 sind nicht gestartet.
So the New Zealanders out in front with about 300 metres or so to go, sitting in front, 10 metres in front of the USA 2 crew of Rodriguez and Hedge, and then back a little bit further to the Vicino twins from Italy sitting in third place. So that's our 1, 2 and 3 to go through to the A and B semi-final at the moment. The Hong Kong crew of Lam and Chan will go through to the C final. So into now to the last 250 metres. Italy now starting to put a little bit of a push on the USA. New Zealand still out in front, Camilla.
Yeah, these 4-minute race centres really keeping us on our toes here in the finish tower. And already now into the final 250 metres. We've got a great race going on, almost identical to the previous one in the women's pairs. In this men's pair race, we've got the USA, we've got New Zealand, and we've got Italy this time around as that third crew going for that win in the final sprinting stages. The Kiwis have really ratcheted up the racing there at 36, but that's no match for the 44 coming from the Italians over in lane 6.
Ja, ein ganz spannender Zweikampf haben wir hier zwischen Italien und Neuseeland und sogar USA auf der Bahn 1. Sie möchten auch nochmals eingreifen, aber das wird nicht mehr reichen. Ganz vorne Neuseeland gegen Italien. Momentan die Italiener etwas mit der besseren Ausgangslage, aber das wird ganz knapp. Wir müssen hier die Zielfinish-Film abwarten.
Well, I didn't envy Michael trying to call that one over the line because the Italians and the Kiwis separated by merely centimetres. And we've just had it confirmed there. It was the Italians that just clung on ahead of New Zealand one for the win. It was then the USA coming over in third and then just Hong Kong, China that will have to contest the C final that will take place later on this weekend.
And back up on the course now, we have the first repechage of the lightweight women's single sculls. 5-boat race here in lane 1, Uruguay, lane 2, Netherlands, lane 3, Great Britain, lane 4, Norway, and lane 5, Mexico, with 2 crews to advance on to the A final. Tough racing earlier on in the heats where just 1 qualified directly, and now we're back into the reps here. Fastest of the 5 scullers out on the water from the earlier heats was Liv Bates of Great Britain, coming in 7:53, so she's centre of the course here. Next fastest was Lund of Norway, so they're the crews to watch, and coming through 500, and it was It was Mexico, so a bit of a surprise here. Sorry, just checking the system there. Lechuga of Mexico leading it through the 500-metre mark. Lund of Norway in second. Liv Bates back in third. Jarzan of Uruguay in fourth. And Tosca Kettler of the Netherlands back in fifth place. So difficult conditions here as they come up to 1,000-metre mark. But a bit of a surprise to see the Mexican leading it out. They're just coming into view for us here now. And we'll see how they're going to fare through the 1,000-metre mark. Well, once again, it's the first two into Final A.
Beim ersten Hoffnungslauf der Leichtgewichtsfrauen Skiff führt die Mexikanerin Kenia Lechuga und zwar mit einer halben Länge Vorsprung auf die Britin Olivia Bates. Dann haben wir an dritter Stelle die Norwegerin Maja Lund und zwar mit einer Länge Rückstand auf die beiden führenden Boote. Dann weitere 2 Längen zurück die Holländerin und am Schluss des Feldes Uruguay. In diesem Rennen kommen 2 Boote in den Final A. Die übrigen Boote in den Final B.
So the reigning world silver medalist in the lightweight women's single scull, that's Kenia Lechuga from Mexico, out in front. But there's been a big push over the second 500 metres from Olivia Bates from Great Britain. Now, we saw Olivia rowing in the lightweight women's double scull at the European Championships recently, filling in for an illness there. But in the World Cup 1 in the lightweight single scull, she did go through and win that one ahead of Maja Lund and Tosca Kettler from Norway and the Netherlands. So she's sitting out in front, made up a good couple of seconds there to move from third into second, and certainly still making that boat move quite nicely and really starting to close down that gap now on our leader, Kenia Lechuga from Mexico. So it's Lechuga and Bates, our 2 leading scullers. First and second to go through to the A final, the rest going through to the B final. Maja Lund from Norway sitting just in third place at the moment. She's got about 15 metres or so left to make up, and then back a little bit further to Tosca Kettler from the Netherlands and Nicole Jarzan from Uruguay sitting in fifth place. So those 2 scullers at the moment certainly looking like they'll go through to the B final. Kenia Lechuga from Mexico still with that lead though, coming up now into the 1,500 metre mark. And Olivia Bates is still closing in. So I think she's got a bit of an overlap now as they're coming through the 1,500 metres. And certainly the faster of the 2 boats that's out there on the course at the moment. So we're just waiting for that 1,500 split time to come up. It will show Kenia Lechuga still with that lead. But Olivia Bates, after starting out a little bit slower through that first 500 metres, she was third through 500, second down to 1.26 seconds through 1,000, and then down to 0.89 seconds through 1,500 metres. So they're our 2 leaders. It's 5 seconds back to Maja Lund from Norway, so she'll need a very big sprint to try and go through and make it to the A final of the women's lightweight single sculls. Then back a little bit further, Tosca Kettler from the Netherlands and Nicole Jarzan from Uruguay. And Camilla, as they're coming down towards the final stages, will the Mexican sculler be able to hold on ahead of the British sculler?
Yeah, sort of impending doom, isn't it? As Olivia Bates closes with every single stroke. It's forced Lechuga now up to 35 strokes a minute. The 2-time Olympian who has qualified again for the Paris Games this time around in the open weight single, representing here in the lightweight single. So she's got a very strong calibre on paper, but being tested here by Bates of Great Britain. Both would go through to the A final, but in a shocking turn of events, 2 of our A finalists from the Varese World Cup, Kettler and Lund of the Netherlands and Norway respectively, look set to miss out on that A final and be progressing through to the B final.
Im ersten Hoffnungslauf im Leichtgewichtsfrauen Doppelzweier sind noch 200 Meter, Leichtgewichtsfrauen einer, entschuldigen Sie mich, sind noch 200 Meter zurückzulegen und wir sehen hier ein Duell zwischen Olivia Bates und Kenia Lechuga. Die beiden Ruderinnen von Großbritannien respektive Mexiko, sie wollen hier sich die möglichst beste Ausgangslage für das Halbfinale schaffen und sprinten hier um den Sieg in diesem Hoffnungslauf. Ganz vorne ist es momentan, hat Kenia Lechuga etwas die Nase vorn, dahinter Olivia Bates. Wir schauen, wie es ausgeht auf der Ziellinie.
Despite these conditions being far more reminiscent of a rainy day in Nottingham for Olivia Bates, it's the sunnier climes of Mexico that will win this one out, with Kenya Lechuga half a length up on Bates of Great Britain. Lund will get one over on Kettler this time, but it will be the B final destined for both of them, alongside the Uruguayan sculler of Yardson, who completes the field here in this repechage of the lightweight women's single sculls.
And we're straight back up to repechage number 2 in the lightweight single sculls. In lane 1, Hong Kong. Lane 2, France. Lane 3, USA 2. Lane 4, Czechia. And lane 5, Japan. They've already gone through 1,000 metres and coming up on 1,500 already. Leading it out from the start, it's Borzen of USA. She's fastest out of these crews coming out of the qualifiers this morning. So it's going with form here. Having a good race as well over the last 500. Marzo of France now moving from 4th into 2nd through 1,000. And we'll check in. She's coming up now to challenge for the lead against Borzen. They look safe as the 1 or 2 into the A final, and then it's a little bit further back to Czechia, Japan and Hong Kong in 3rd, 4th and 5th, just coming up on the 1,500 metre mark. It's Borzen leading it out for the USA.
Bei 1500 Metern in diesem zweiten Hoffnungslauf der Leichtgewichtsfrauen-Skiffs führt die Amerikanerin Adriana Borzen vor Aurélie Morisot. Morisot ist etwa 3/4 Längen hinter der Amerikanerin zurück. Diese beiden Boote dürften den Finaleinzug schaffen, denn die übrigen Boote sind doch schon einige Meter zurück, nämlich an 3. Stelle Tschechei, dann 4. Japan und 5. Hongkong.
So just like the last repechage, we're seeing an early leader being put under pressure through the last 500 metres to see who's going to get the win in the repechage to go through to the A final of the women's lightweight single sculls. Borzen from the USA leading Morizot from France in 2nd place. Not a lot to pick between the two of them. It's only about a boat length or so. Then back a little bit further to the Czech sculler Nuhotova, Yonezawa from Japan, and then Leong from Hong Kong in 5th place. So the French sculler Morizot chasing Adriana Borzen. And again, we're going to see as they come up towards the finish, a very tight finish coming up between our leading 2 scullers, Camilla.
Yeah, it looks as if it's just being held at just over a length here for the USA's Adriana Borzen ahead of Aurélie Morizot of France, and they're sticking at that margin. Nothing much really to report in terms of change, and those top 2 set to go through to the A final if these standings remain the same. Still then, Neuhortova of Czechia that sits just ahead, and I mean just, still overlap between herself and the sculler from Japan, Yonezawa Chika, but our top 2 here separated by clear water back to the rest of the field.
Es sieht so aus, dass die USA und Frankreich morgen im Finale A ebenfalls vertreten sein werden. Diese beiden Ruderinnen überqueren in diesem Moment die Ziellinie. Nicht dabei wird die Tschechin Kristina Neuhortova sein.
So there we have it over the line there. Adriana Borzen of the USA just over a length up on the next place sculler, France's Aurélie Morizot. It's then over the line for the sculler from Czechia, Neuhortova ahead of Yonezawa Chika of Japan, and then finally Lung Win 1 of Hong Kong, China concludes that 5-boat field in the 2nd repechage of the lightweight women's singles.
Back up the course, we have the next rep, which is the lightweight men's single sculls in lane 1, Hong Kong 2, lane 2, Italy, lane 3, Japan, lane 4, Germany, lane 5, Uzbekistan, and lane 6, Azerbaijan. Coming through the heats earlier on this morning, Nishimura of Japan was the fastest out of there, but he's back the field now. We've had the lead change a number of times coming through the first 500. Nurmatov of Uzbekistan was leading it out, but coming through 1,000, Gauss of Germany made a big, strong push to move out into the lead, and he took Patrick Roach of Italy with him. They're the 1 and 2 at the moment, looking good to move into final A. Nurmatov back in 3rd place now. We're just looking to see as they come up on the 1,500 metre mark, but the early leader back the course as Gauss times it to perfection to move into the lead.
Ein fantastisches Rennen hier an der Spitze um die 2 Finalplätze. Es führt immer noch Arno Gauss aus Deutschland, aber knapp dahinter, praktisch auf gleicher Höhe, haben wir im Moment an 2. Stelle Shahzad Nurmatov aus Usbekistan, und 3. ist der Italiener Patrick Rozek. Also einer dieser 3 Ruderer wird noch in den Final B verwiesen, aber es kann sich wirklich nichts, ich kann es nicht sagen, wer am Schluss die beiden ersten Plätze innehat. Im Moment führt der Usbeke vor dem Italiener und dem Deutschen.
Talk about lightweight rowing being very, very tight, and it is exactly that at the top. We've got Rocek from Italy, Gauss from Germany, and Nurmatov from Uzbekistan. They are all going bow ball to bow ball, but 3 into 2 does not go. It's only the first 2 to go through to the A final. These 3 scullers have been absolutely matching it the entire way down the course. 0.13 of a second between first and third through the 1,500 metre timing point. They've now got about 200 metres or so left to go. It's still absolutely anyone's guess as to who's going to be able to go through and take the win. Rocek and Nurmatov battling it out. We're just seeing a drop-off from Gauss, but it is still anyone's game as to who's going to qualify in those initial 2 positions. 100 metres to go as they come up now towards the finish.
Yeah, did Gauss go too early for Germany? That's the question, really. But emerging victorious, it seems. Rocek of Italy is not letting up. 41 strokes a minute in his lightweight men's single scull here to take the lead. And Michael, I'm sure reminiscent of your times in the lightweight men's single.
Ja, der Italiener Rocek, er fährt hier nach vorne und kann sich von dem Usbeken und dem Deutschen absetzen. Aber der Arno Gauss aus Deutschland, er kann sich ebenfalls noch durchsetzen, nachdem der Usbeke noch einen Krebs gezogen hat. Also Platz 1 für Italien, Platz 2 für Deutschland.
Wow, Rocek came through to take the win there. Gauss second because the Uzbekistan sculler Nurmatov just got rowed to a standstill. He basically had to stop rowing. He was completely exhausted, and that will give him the fate of the B final and this lightweight men's single sculls event. The remainder of the scullers now trickling across the line: Japan, Hong Kong, China, Azerbaijan, and that concludes the repechage there of the lightweight men's singles as we move on now to the women's double sculls.
Already through 1,000 metres is the rep for the women's double sculls. Lane 1 Netherlands, Lane 2 France, Lane 3 Lithuania and Lane 4 Swiss 2. No changes since they went through the start 500 and 1,000 metre mark. Lithuania doing all the running here in first place, but barely ahead by half a canvas of the French crew in second place. Netherlands very much within a striking distance as well, just a further half canvas back, so just not even half a boat length separating first to third. 2 and 3 to qualify for the final here, so it looks like the Swiss crew back in fourth place at the moment. Even though they have an overlap, they're the ones at the moment that are in danger of being dropped from the qualifiers here into the semi-final. So all to do for Switzerland, and let's see what they have in the last half of this race.
Im Doppelzweier der Frauen im Hoffnungslauf haben wir 4 Boote am Start. Holland, Frankreich, Litauen und Schweiz 2. Und 3 Boote können sich für das Halbfinale qualifizieren. Es sind im Moment in Führung die Französinnen ganz knapp vor Litauen und etwa eine halbe Länge zurück die Holländerinnen. Am Schluss des Feldes mit einer tieferen Schlagzahl als die übrigen 3 Boote haben wir das Schweizer Boot und es dürfte für sie relativ schwer werden, jetzt noch auf den letzten 500 Meter das Rennen noch zu drehen und doch noch einen qualifikationsberechtigten Platz zu erhalten.
So coming up to the 1,500 metres, it has been the Lithuanians with the lead throughout, but now the French have moved ahead. So they're sitting in first, but only 0.3 of a second between first and second. It's another couple of seconds back to the Dutch crew sitting in third place, and then a little bit further again to the Switzerland 2 crew. So they're sitting in fourth, and as things stand, they are the ones that will be eliminated from this event. First, second and third through to the A and B semi-final. And it's the French crew that have absolutely timed this run to perfection. They were sitting just behind the Lithuanians at the 500 and again at the 1,000, and now sitting at rate 37, going the quickest out of all the boats on the course. The Lithuanians not too far behind them, certainly within striking distance if they do look to try and really put a motor on and take that repechage win. But as I say, as things stand, as they come up with about 250 metres left to go, it's France leading Lithuania, the Netherlands and Switzerland.
Yeah, the calibre of this field is just astounding, Stuart. I mean, to see some of these crews here racing in the repechage, the French, the Lithuanians, the Dutch, all of which have been in A finals and podiums throughout the last few seasons. So I can't quite believe that we're seeing one of these crews having to miss out. And at the moment, still France leading the way ahead of Lithuania and the Netherlands.
Nur 100 Meter zurückzulegen für das führende Boot aus Frankreich. Dahinter dann die Vize-Weltmeisterin aus Litauen und diejenigen noch vor den Niederlanden mit Lisa Schenard, der Bronzemedaillengewinnerin von Tokio, also ein Weltklassefeld in diesem Hoffnungslauf, leider nicht qualifiziert für das Halbfinale. Dann das Schweizer Boot mit Salome Ulrich und Sophia Mikin, sie sind lange dabei gewesen, aber mussten die 3 Weltklasseboote noch ziehen lassen. In diesem Moment auch über die Ziellinie die Schweiz.
So unfortunately, it will be the Swiss that miss out on those AB semi-finals in this women's double sculls event, with France, Lithuania and the Netherlands progressing through.
So back up the course with the next race coming to the 1,000 metre mark. It's the first repechage of the women's single sculls. In lane 1, Hong Kong. Lane 2, Germany 2. Lane 3, Lithuania 1. Lane 4, neutral athletes. Lane 5, USA 2. And lane 6, Togo. Guts coming through 1,000 metres, and unbelievably there's just half a length separating first to third. Just coming up, it's the leader since the start, Farlish from Germany, leaving out ahead of Adamotuche of Lithuania in second, and Klimovic of the neutral athlete in third. They're the 1, 2 and 3. Hagstrom of USA in fourth place at the moment, ahead of Hong from Chinese Hong Kong, and Togo in sixth place, just coming up on the 1,000 metre mark now. So leading it out here with 3 to qualify, and looking good so far. The 3 leaders with clear water. It is Germany, Lithuania and the neutral athlete.
1100 Meter sind gerudert, und in diesem Hoffnungslauf einer der Frauen führt die Deutsche Juliana Faralisch vor 2 Booten, nämlich vor Litauen und der neutralen Athletin Tatjana Klimovic. Diese 3 Boote konnten sich ziemlich stark absetzen vom übrigen Feld. Dann haben wir an 4. Stelle die USA, 5. Hongkong und 6. Togo. Aber an der Spitze gibt es ein knappes Rennen zwischen den 3 Ruderinnen aus den Nationen Deutschland, Litauen und der neutralen Athletin.
So it's the German sculler Juliane Faralisch who is in the lead at the moment as they're coming up towards the 1,500 metre timing point. But just behind her, it's Lithuania's Yeva Adomavičiūtė and Tatjana Klimovic from Lithuania, and the neutral athletes sitting in second and third at the moment. So first 3 to go through, and the big question will be whether or not Alina Hagstrom from the USA has been able to make up a little bit of ground through that third 500 metres, through that championship quarter. Hong from Hong Kong sitting in 5th place, and then back a little bit further to our Togo sculler, Akoko Komlavi, who, as we mentioned earlier, has qualified for the Olympics. She's gone through the African qualification regatta. So we're just getting that timing through the 1,500 metres, and there is absolutely nothing to pick between our leading 3 scullers. So as things stand, they are all to go through to the A and B semi-final. It's Adomavičiūtė from Lithuania in first, Klimovic, a neutral athlete, in second, and then Faralic from Germany in third. But the big thing is that Alina Hagstrom from the USA has made up a little bit of ground. She's about 0.7 of a second that she's made up between the gap from first at the 1,000 metres to now. And as they're coming now into the final 250 metres, the leading 3 crews are going to have to make sure that they've got enough left in the tank, that they haven't spent all their tickets early, because Alina Hagstrom does look like she's starting to make up a little bit of ground with 200 metres left to go.
The beauty of single sculls. I absolutely love that you can see this turn of pace, and Hagstrom, the athlete from Seattle, Washington, really starting to close the meters now on Faralisch of Germany. And with those 3 spots through to the AB semi-finals, I think set currently for Klimovic and Adomavičiūtė, but that 3rd place still very much up for grabs here between Germany and the USA.
Ich denke, 2 dieser 3 Plätze werden an Litauen und an die neutrale Athletin gehen. Dahinter ist es momentan noch die deutsche Faralisch, die Juniorenweltmeisterin 2014 im Juniorinnen-Achter. Sie versucht hier ihre Bugspitze nach vorne zu bringen, aber die Amerikanerin, sie macht nun mächtig Druck und versucht nochmals heranzufahren. Das wird aber voraussichtlich nicht mehr reichen. Vorne neutral und Litauen vor Deutschland. Das die ersten 3 Plätze in diesem ersten Hoffnungslauf.
The leading margin closes up somewhat for Klimovic to take the win there, still over Adomova-Chute of Lithuania. It will then be just too soon for the finish line to come here for Hagström, as she unfortunately misses out on those AB semi-final places to Faralish, who clings on for that third qualifying spot through to the AB semi-finals. And then finally, Hung Win and Kom Lanvi of Hong Kong, China and Togo respectively will also be joining in that C final.
Back up the course and through 1,000 metres is the second repechage of the women's single sculls. Lane 1, Cuba. Lane 2, Great Britain. Lane 3, USA 1. Lane 4, Switzerland 1. Lane 5, Czechia. And Lane 6, Brazil. Coming off of the start, it was Janssen of Switzerland leading it out, and she's done so through the 1,000 metre mark as well. Having a great race now, moving from 4th into 2nd is Kohler of USA, having been back the course, has now battled her way up into 2nd place with the Czechia sculler in 3rd. They're the 1, 2 and 3 that are looking good to move on to the semi-finals, but Lucy Glover of Great Britain still with an overlap and in touch, and then it's some way back to Brazil and Cuba, who I have to say would be out of the running into those qualifying spots. So a great race in the last 500 from Kohler of USA to get into 2nd place, and then it's going to come down to the line, a real battle between Czechia and Great Britain for that last qualifying spot into the semis.
1400 Meter sind gerudert durch Aurelia Maxima Janssen, die dieses Rennen anführt. Die Schweizerin konnte von Anfang an die Spitze übernehmen und liegt seit Beginn etwa mit 3/4 Längen Vorsprung vor Cara Kohler an der Spitze des Feldes. Dann haben wir an 3. Stelle, und die würde auch noch für den Halbfinal berechtigt sein, haben wir die Tschechin Alice Prokesova. Dann haben wir an 4. Stelle Lucy Glover aus Großbritannien und am Schluss des Feldes die beiden Ruderinnen aus Brasilien und Kuba. Aber an der Spitze hat Cara Kohler jetzt ihren Rückstand etwas verringern können. Sie liegt jetzt etwa 1/2 Länge hinter Aurelia Maxima Janssen zurück. Hoffentlich, muss ich sagen, hoffentlich können diese beiden den Vorsprung halten und so in den Halbfinal einziehen. Um die 3. Stelle wird es eventuell noch spannend zwischen der Tschechei und Großbritannien.
So the local sculler, Aurelia Maxima Janssen from Switzerland, out in front. She's led the entire way. The sculler sitting in 2nd place, Cara Kohler. We heard Camilla talk a little bit earlier about some of the quality of the crews that are in these repechages. And Cara Kohler, 4th place at the World Championships, pushing Tara Rigney for that bronze medal position. Now going through the repechage here in World Cup 2 and sitting in 2nd place. So in a qualification position for the A and B semi-final. In that battle for the 3rd and final qualification position, Prokosova from Czechia leading Lucy Glover. Just started to pull away a little bit in that 3rd 500 metres or so, and then it's back a little bit further to Cunha Tavares Cardoso and Cobas Garcia from Brazil and Cuba respectively.
Yeah, Janssen's lead has been whittled down to only a mere metre, with Cara Kohler hot on the heels from the USA, the winner of the Olympic trials in the single scull over in the US. And she is really quite fearsome in this single scull. But now it's these two out in front by a clear water margin. The fight for 3rd well and truly over, I think, now, because it's Prokesova of Czechia that wins out ahead of the rest of the field.
Ja, die Plätze sind vergeben in diesem zweiten Hoffnungslauf im Frauen-Einer. Es geht nur noch darum, wer das Rennen gewinnt. Und ganz vorne ist es Aurelia Maxima Janssen, die in Extremis das Rennen noch vor Cara Kohler nach Hause rudert. Aurelia Maxima Janssen, die erst gerade ihre Olympia-Qualifikation sich gesichert hat, nun mit dem Sieg im Hoffnungslauf qualifiziert sich auch für das Halbfinale morgen Samstag hier an der Lucerne Regatta.
An excellent finish there for Aurelia Maxima. Katharina Janssen of Switzerland, a clinical sculler who delivered the job that she needed to there, ahead of Kola of the US for those top 2 places. The third to be joining them in the AB semi-finals, as predicted, Prokesova of Czechia. And our final sculler just crossing the line there in 6th, the sculler from Cuba, Cobas Garcia.
Back up the course for the next race. It's the quarterfinals this time of the men's singles sculls. In lane 1, Tunisia. Lane 2, Slovakia. Lane 3, Denmark. Lane 4, Germany won. Lane 5, Belgium 1 did not start. And lane 6, Brazil. So 5 crews racing here, 3 to advance on to semi-final A and B. Not much has changed off the start through 500 and through 1000. It is Ali Ziedler of Germany leading it out ahead of Sverre Nielsen of Denmark in second. Just about 1.5 seconds, so just over a length between them as they came through the 1,000-metre mark. And then it got a little bit of clear water back to Pfeiffer of Slovenia. They're the 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. And then it was clear water back again to Brazil and Tunisia in 5th and 6th. They're shortly coming up on the 1,500-metre mark, but looking good here in the quarterfinals for the crews from Germany, ahead of Denmark in 2nd place, just and extending his lead there, and Slovenia in 3rd.
Wir haben bereits die 1500-Meter-Marke überquert und es führt Oliver Zeidler in diesem ersten Viertelfinal der Einer Männer vor Sverre Nielsen, die beiden Favoriten also an der Spitze des Rennens. Dann haben wir an 3. Stelle Filip Matej Pfeiffer aus Slowenien, der schon einen recht guten Vorsprung hat gegenüber den beiden anderen Ruderern, nämlich an 4. Stelle dann der Brasilianer Vertain Ferreira und am Schluss des Feldes Mohamed Tayeb aus Tunesien.
So, results at the moment, as expected, Olli Zeidler from Germany out in front of Sverre Nielsen from Denmark sitting in 2nd place. Those 2 rowers just rating in the mid-30s at the moment and not trying to put too much into it. We've got Slovenia's Filip Matej Pfeiffer sitting in 3rd place. So that's our 1, 2 and 3 to go through to the A and B semi-finals. Our 4th place sculler at the moment does look to be the Brazilian Lucas Vertain Ferreira, and then he is a bit of clear water between himself and Mohamed Tayeb from Tunisia as they come now into the last 100 metres or so.
Yeah, it's like a rerun of the final from the 2019 World Championships, where it was Zeidler followed by Nielsen for the gold and silver medal in Linz Ottensheim that we've got here in this first quarter-final of the men's single sculls. But to find a third, well, I think it's going to be the Brazilian Vertain Ferreira. We mentioned earlier. My apologies. It is Pfeiffer of Slovenia. I'm just getting my lanes confused. It's Filip Matej Pfeiffer of Slovenia that is a length ahead of Vertain Ferreira of Brazil, and that will be the 1, 2, 3, Zeidler, Nielsen, followed by Pfeiffer. It will then be Vertain Ferreira of Brazil over in 4th to go through and contest one of the remaining minor finals alongside Mohamed Tayeb of Tunisia.
Back up the course now for quarter-final 2 of the men's singles sculls through 1,000 metres, and it is similar to the race that we saw earlier on with Simon van Dorp has opened up clear water lead ahead of Noikov of Bulgaria in 2nd and Kripin of USA. They're the 1, 2 and 3. Vasilev of Bulgaria in 4th, Lithuania and Belgium in 5th and 6th at the moment. There's minor changes have occurred with Noikov moving from 3rd into 2nd place, but he's over 5.5 seconds behind Van Dorp as they came through 1,000, but looking good to secure that 2nd qualifying spot. And in 3rd at the moment, Nippon of USA just holding off Vasilev, and the scullers from Lithuania and Belgium back in 5th and 6th. They're coming up on 1,300 metres, and it looks like it is joining Germany, Denmark and Slovenia from the first quarter-final. Looking good so far here for Netherlands, Bulgaria and USA.
Ja, das hat mein Kollege richtig gesagt. In Führung liegt natürlich mit einem großen Vorsprung Simon van Dorp. Aber dann wird es sehr, sehr knapp zwischen den 3 folgenden Booten. An 2. Stelle momentan Emil Neikov aus Bulgarien. 3. dann der 2. Bulgare, Christian Vasilev. Und 1. und 4. Stelle der US-Amerikaner Michael Neppen. Aber da kann sich noch vieles ändern. Die Boote sind noch sehr nahe beieinander. Etwas weiter zurück dann an 5. Stelle Litauen und Belgien.
Simon van Dorp from the Netherlands with the lead, coming up now to the 1,500 metre timing point. Sitting behind him are the two Bulgarian scullers. We've got Emil Nekov sitting in second place, and then Christian Vasilev sitting in third. But we saw this in the heats for the men's single sculls. Emil Nekov from Bulgaria led Ollie Zeidler through the 500 and the 1,000, and then really started to drop off as that energy he used meant that he didn't really have a lot left in the bank to be able to go through and really put a big push on in that last 500 metres. Michael Nippen from the USA is sitting outside of that final qualification position for the A and B semi-finals. So as things stand, he would go through to the C final. Then we've got the Lithuanian sculler, Nemeravicius, sitting in fifth, and then Mercia from Belgium sitting in sixth place. So Simon van Dorp with that lead, and then it is now Vasilev from Bulgaria leading Nekov, and then can the USA sculler Michael Nippen make up a bit of ground? I suspect we're going to, with about 200 metres or so left to go, I suspect we're going to have it as an all-European 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, the conditions out here on the water probably lend themselves to the Dutch sculling team. A little bit of drizzle, some nice flat water. But Simon van Dorp, the Willem III sculler, coached by the great Francesco Fossi, the World Rowing Coach of the Year, doing the job here in this quarter-final to lead out by clear water. But then it's the battle of the Bulgarians, in fact, between Nekov and Vasilev to try and clinch a Bulgarian 2-3, and most importantly, a two-boat Bulgarian AB semi-final would be a fantastic achievement here ahead of Michael Nippen of the USA.
Ja, Simon van Dorp sichert sich in diesem Augenblick die Halbfinalqualifikation. Dahinter sehen wir einen Sprint zwischen den beiden bulgarischen Booten. Es ist der Ruderer auf der Bahn 6, Emil Nekov, welcher sich hier noch den zweiten Rang herausrudert vor seinem Landsmann Christian Vasilev. Im C-Finale werden wir dann den US-Amerikaner Michael Nippen sehen.
So that confirms it. The top three over the line. Van Dorp of the Netherlands ahead of Nekov of Bulgaria, joined by teammate Christian Vasilev, also of Bulgaria, beating out Michael Nippen of the USA, who'll be joined in the minor finals with Mercier and Nemeravicius of Belgium and Lithuania.
Back up the course now for quarter-final 3 of the men's singles sculls. Again, 3 crews to go through to the semi-final here. Looking to see who will join Germany, Denmark, Slovenia, Netherlands and the 2 Bulgarian crews. And in this quarter-final 3, in lane 1 it's Zimbabwe, in lane 2 Cuba, lane 3 Lithuania 1, lane 4 Greece, lane 5 Uruguay and lane 6 Uzbekistan 1. They've gone through 500 metres, and leading it out as he did in the heats earlier on, it's Beliauskas of Lithuania at the moment ahead of Tuskus of Greece. They're the 1 and 2, and then it's the Uruguayan sculler in third place at the moment, looking good, but very little between those 3, just a second separating them coming through 500, so overlaps all the way through the first quarter of this race. Little bit of clear water opening up then to the chasing pack of Cuba, Uzbekistan and Zimbabwe, so they'll have all the work to do to see if they can get back into contention here and back into those all important semi-final qualifying spots. So leading it out still, really good race here from Beliauskas of Lithuania. We saw that in his win earlier on in the heats as well, and he's putting it up to Tuskus here, but both of them battling it out for that lead.
Kurz vor der 1000-Meter-Marke führt Beliauskas aus Litauen dieses Rennen an, und zwar knapp vor dem Griechen Tsukos, dem Olympiasieger. Und dann an dritter Stelle haben wir den Uruguayaner Bruno Getteraro Periolo. Aber das Rennen ist sicherlich noch nicht entschieden, denn im Moment ist es sogar der Uruguayaner, der den Olympiasieger überspurten konnte und jetzt an zweiter Stelle liegt, hinter dem Litauer Beliauskas.
So just through the 1,000 metres, and it was Beliauskas from Lithuania with the lead, Cetraro Beriolo from Uruguay in second, and then Tsukos from Greece sitting in third place at the moment. And I think he just looked a little bit struggling as he went through that 1,000-metre timing point. And certainly that speed has gone right down. So I just wonder whether or not he's got a little bit of an injury or something's just not right in that boat at the moment. You would expect to see Tsukos from Greece, the reigning Olympic champion, out in the lead. Instead, he is sitting in third place at the moment. He is battling it out with the Uzbekistani sculler, Kolmurazaev, sitting in fourth place. So as they're coming up towards the 1,500 metres, it just something we're not expecting to see. And in fact, the Uzbekistani sculler has managed to go through. So the speeds of Tsukos going right down at the moment, and he is dropping right down towards the back of the pack. So, as I say, when he went through the 1,000-metre timing point, just looked pained. There's something not quite right going on in that boat for him at the moment. Sitting in fifth place is Redi Cardona Blanco from Cuba, and then Andrew Peebles from Zimbabwe sitting in sixth place. The Zimbabweans have qualified the single scull for the Paris Olympics. Stephen Cox being the sculler that won through in the African qualifiers a little bit earlier on. So Andrew Peebles rowing for Zimbabwe today. So through the 1,500 metres, it is Biliauskas from Lithuania with that lead. Second place, Cetraro Berriolo from Uruguay, and then Kolmurazaev from Uzbekistan in third place. And then it's about 6 seconds back to Tsukos from Greece. So he is out of the running as things stand with 500 metres left to go. He's got 6 seconds ahead of Cardona Blanco from Cuba, and then Andrew Peebles from Zimbabwe sitting in sixth place. So we've spoken, Camilla, about races that some of our leading rowers and crews being put under pressure in the first day of World Cup 2, but I don't think any of us expected to see this.
Yeah, Duskos being dropped out the back, plummeting back through the field, in fact, was not something on my bingo card for today. Maybe the earlier conditions of the wind and the waves would have suited the Greek far more than what we have out here on the Rotse now. But he's currently not in a qualifying position for that top three through to the A-B semi-finals. That is the luxury of Lithuania's Giedrius Biliauskas and the Uruguayan Cetraro Berriolo, along with Shakboz Kolmurazaev of Uzbekistan, all ahead currently of the Olympic champion from Greece.
Ja, was für eine große Überraschung in diesem dritten Viertelfinale am heutigen Tag im Männer-Einer. Der Olympiasieger Stefanos Duskos aus Griechenland. Er wird sich nicht für die nächste Runde qualifizieren und wird wahrscheinlich dann im C- oder D-Final antreten. Ganz vorne ist es aber der Litauer Biliauskas, der eine so tolle Europameisterschaft gefahren ist. Er gewinnt mit einer Länge Vorsprung vor dem Ruderer aus Uruguay und Uzbekistan.
All the way through the line, Lithuania's Giedrius Biliauskas is going to be the winner of this third quarter-final of the men's single sculls, followed closely by Bruno Cetraro Berriolo of Uruguay, and then Shakboz Kolmurazaev of Uzbekistan, the final quota place gifted to him into those A-B semi-finals. The remainder of our athletes now coming over the line, no least Stefanos Duskos, as we mentioned, the Olympic champion from Greece, is not to be for him this weekend at World Rowing Cup 2.
Already coming through 1,000 metres, it's the last of the quarterfinals in the men's single sculls in lane 1, Uzbekistan 2, lane 2, Italy 1, lane 3, New Zealand, lane 4, neutral athlete, lane 5, Germany 2, and lane 6, it is Bermuda. And just when they came through 1,000 metres, Alati of the neutral athlete just holding on to the lead. He's led through 500, through 1,000, just holding off the challenge at the moment of Thomas McIntosh of New Zealand. But there's only half a second between the two, so less than half a boat length. And then a little bit further off to Paul Berghoff of Germany in that third qualifying spot into the semis at the moment. But Niels Torre, he's primed there back in fourth place, just off the pace at the moment with an overlap and could easily strike in to get that third qualifying spot. And then Bermuda and Uzbekistan back in fifth and sixth at the moment. So all to play for down coming to the second half of the race here. It is still Zalatny and McIntosh, winners of their heats earlier on, getting into these quarterfinals and battling it out coming down the course for those win to get the secure spots. All to play for between Berghoff and Torre, Germany and Italy to qualify too.
Gibt es eine weitere Überraschung in diesem Rennen, dem letzten Viertelfinal, einer der Männer. Denn Es ist noch nicht sicher, ob Niels Torre sich qualifizieren kann für den Halbfinal. Im Moment führt Tom McIntosh aus Neuseeland, der ja im letzten Jahr so tolle Rennen hier am Rotsee geliefert hat. An zweiter Stelle dann der neutrale Athlet Zalati. Und dann haben wir an dritter Stelle Paul Berghoff aus Deutschland. Und erst an vierter Stelle dann Niels Torre. Diese 4 Boote werden die 3 Halbfinalplätze untereinander ausmachen. Denn schon ziemlich zurückliegen an 5. Stelle der Ruderer aus Bermuda, Alizadeh, und der Ruderer aus Usbekistan, Mamatakulov.
So through the 1500 metre timing point, it was Tom McIntosh from New Zealand. He's taken the lead over Zlatny of the neutral athletes. So we've really got 3 races going on here. We've got the battle between McIntosh and Zlatny for first and second. Berghoff and Torre from Germany and Italy respectively. They're battling it out for the third and final qualification position for the AB semi-final. And then Alizadeh from Bermuda and Mamatkulov from Uzbekistan battling it out for the D final for 5th and 6th place. So 3 different races going on within the one. It's McIntosh leading Zlatny, but not by much. It's about canvas or so between first and second. Niels Torre from Italy just dropping back a little bit now. It does look like that unless he's got a very big finish over the last 200 metres or so, that Paul Berghoff from Germany will be able to hold on and make it through to the A and B semi-final. And then Alizadeh from Bermuda leading Mamatkulov from Uzbekistan.
Yeah, Tom McIntosh going toe-to-toe with Zalati, who had a fearsome start. McIntosh has tried to chip away and push through, but Zalati has responded right back here up at the front of the field. And it's whether McIntosh has the guts to just let him go to take his spot in the AB semi-final and be secure in his fate. He's keeping tabs with him. He's not raised the rating quite as high. He's at 34 strokes a minute, happy to let Zalati go and take the lead. Third currently with Germany. A huge sprint from the lightweight here, Niels Torre, but I think he's left it just too late here to make that top 3.
Das 4. und letzte Viertelfinale im Männereiner gewinnt der neutrale Athlet Zalati vor dem Olympiasieger aus Neuseeland Thomas McIntosh auf Rang 3 und ebenfalls im Halbfinal Paul Berghoff aus Deutschland. Dahinter dann im C-Finale werden wir Niels Torre aus Italien wiedersehen und im D-Final oder C-Final dann der Ruderer aus Usbekistan, Mamatkulov, und am Schluss des Feldes im D-Final dann Dara Alizadeh aus Bermuda.
So Bermuda and Uzbekistan will conclude the men's single quarter-finals, those remaining crews going through to either the C or D final. And we're going to race back up the course now to the repechage of the lightweight men's double sculls.
The last of our reps today in the lightweight men's double sculls, already through 1,000 metres. These crews, of course, raced already this morning. 3 spots up for grabs here in the semi-finals. Through the 1,000 metre, it was Chile who led it out ahead of Mexico 1 and the crew from Mexico 2. They were the 1, 2 and 3 with Uzbekistan in 4th, Hong Kong, China in 5th. But a little bit of a change coming through the 1,000 metres. Really solid rowing from Mexico 1 because they moved into the lead and opened up about a 3-second lead ahead of Chile, now back in second place.
Doing a
clear
podcast?
water coming through, and then Uzbekistan in 3rd. They're the 1, 2 and 3, looking good at the moment, but the crew from Mexico 2 can come back and challenge Uzbekistan for that last qualifying spots, all to play for the second Mexican crew. The question is, can they put enough pressure on Uzbekistan, break them in the last 2 500s of this race?
1300 Meter sind gerudert und in diesem Hoffnungslauf der leichtgewichtigen Doppelzweier führt Mexiko 1 das Rennen an, und zwar mit 1,5 Längen Vorsprung auf Chile. Dann haben wir an dritter Stelle Usbekistan. Diese 3 Boote könnten sich für den Semifinal AB qualifizieren. Dann haben wir an 4. Stelle Mexiko 2 und am Schluss des Feldes Hongkong. Ich nehme an, dass diese 3 Boote, Mexiko, Chile und Usbekistan, das Rennen machen werden.
Coming up to the 1,500 metre timing point, it's the Mexico 1 crew. That's Carballo Nieto and Lopez Garcia. They're leading the Chilean crew of Abaroa and Sanjueza. And then in 3rd place, it's the Uzbekistani crew of Agafonov and Safararoliov. Roliev sitting in third, and then it's about 5 seconds back to that second Mexican crew of Velasquez Ugalde and Mejia Gutierrez, and then the Hong Kong China crew of Head and Chen sitting in fifth place. So Mexico won, leading out from Chile. Chile had the lead through the first 500 metres, back into second place, and under a little bit of pressure now from the Uzbekistani crew in third. It's 1, 2 and 3 to go directly through to the A and B semi-final. The remaining crews going through to the C final. So as things stand, it's a Mexico 2 crew and Hong Kong China to go through to the C final with 200 metres left to play.
Thanks so much, Stuart. Yeah, these crews now coming into sight of us here at the finish tower. And what a race for Mexico. They're up at 40 strokes a minute. Mexico 2 who are out. Sorry, Mexico 1 who are out in the lead at the moment. That's the crew of Caballo Nieto and Lopez Garcia, who are rocketing now through the final 100 metres. They will be joined, it seems, in the A-B semi-finals with the crew from Chile and also the crew from Uzbekistan. So final few strokes now, but a flying crew from Mexico in lane 3 that seems to be the crew to lead us into the AB semis.
Ja, Mexiko 1 wird sich für das Halbfinale AB qualifizieren und gewinnt hier komfortabel mit einigen Längen Vorsprung vor Chile und dann Usbekistan. Nicht dabei im Halbfinale ist Mexiko 2 und Hongkong.
So the last crew now coming towards the line here that will go through to the C final in this lightweight men's double sculls event is Hong Kong, China.
Back up the course now for the start of some preliminary races. So the repechages and quarterfinals all finished for this afternoon session. Couple of preliminary races to get through here. And on the course at the moment, it's the PR2 women's single sculls race between Mexico Gutierrez and Ukraine Bohuslavska. There are just two boats in this as they come through the 1,000 metres. It's the Ukrainian sculler leading it out. Gutierrez of Mexico also racing in the doubles. So a lot of racing to get through this weekend. But leading it is Ukraine at the moment. Good quality rower here as well. Both more used to seeing them race in the doubles in the PR2 category. Now racing in the singles here in this two-boat race. Coming through the 1,000 metres just with a 16-second lead. It is Bohuslavska, so Svetlana, she's really pushing on here, opening up that clear water ahead of Gutierrez, and they'll be shortly coming up to the 1,000 metre mark in the preliminary race of the PR2 women's singles sculls. So Ukraine leading it out now ahead of Mexico.
Wir sind jetzt bei 900 Metern im Bahnverteilungsrennen PR2 Frauen-Skiff. Und wir haben nur zwei Boote am Start, nämlich auf der Bahn 1 Mexiko mit Angeles Gutierrez und Bahn 2 Ukraine mit Svetlana Bohuslavska. Und es ist die Ukrainerin, die dieses Rennen anführt, und zwar mit einem ruhigen, langen Schlag. Sie schlägt nur eine Schlagzahl von 82 Schlägen pro Minute, hat aber damit eine Geschwindigkeit von über 3 Metern erreicht. Und die Mexikanerin mit ihrer höheren Schlagzahl von 34 hat eine Geschwindigkeit von 2,8 Metern pro Sekunde. Also hier zeigt sich einmal, dass nicht immer nur eine hohe Schlagzahl auch hohe Geschwindigkeit generiert. Nein, wenn der Rhythmus stimmt, dann kann man auch mit einer tieferen Schlagzahl ein Rennen dominieren. Und das zeigt uns im Moment die Ukrainerin Svetlana Bohuslavska.
So Svetlana Bohuslavska from Ukraine with that lead through the 1,000 metres, and it's a fairly commanding lead. We're just seeing Angeles Gutierrez from Mexico coming across the 1,000 metre timing point at the moment. This is the PR2 single scull, so this isn't a Paralympic event. The Paralympic events that we have are the men's and women's PR1 single sculls, the mixed PR2 mixed double sculls, and then in the PR3 category, we have the PR3 mixed coxed fours, and a new event for the Paralympics that's starting this year in Paris is the PR3 mixed double sculls. So very much looking forward to that one. I know that the Australian double of Nikki Ayres and Jed Olschwager, the reigning world champions, and still looking very, very good, very dominant wins at the Australian Championships earlier on this year. Svetlana Bohoslavska, she has been a world champion in the PR2 double sculls, so she won that. She won her world championship back in 2022, consistently rowing in the PR2 mixed double sculls. And one of the things that we mentioned earlier is that you can actually row up when you are categorised as a para. And the way that that works, so we've got Angeles Gutierrez from Mexico. We saw her a little bit earlier today rowing in the preliminary race for the PR3 mixed double sculls. She's down here in the PR2 single sculls. And what that means is that if you are a PR2, you can row in a PR3 event. If you're PR1, you can row in a PR2 or a PR3 event. But if you're PR3, you don't get to go down. So it's even if you have the fixed seat. So these women will have a fixed seat as they're going down the course. So you'll see some movement of the legs as they go backwards and forwards. You don't have to have pontoons for the PR2 single sculls, but it is an option that is available. So you don't, in the PR1, you have to have the pontoons on either side to make certain that you don't go over. You're also strapped in, whereas with the PR2s, the main difference between that and I'd say a regular rowing boat is that you do have that fixed seat. So you don't have that ability, you don't have that strength to be able to push off with your legs as you're going down the course. Bohoslavska from Ukraine has now gone through the 1,500-metre timing point. This is a preliminary race, so we will see these women go down the course. I think it's tomorrow afternoon in the finals. So tomorrow afternoon we'll see the finals of the non-Olympic and non-Paralympic boat classes. So we've seen the men's and women's lightweight single sculls. We'll see the men's and women's PR2 single sculls, and then also the men's PR3 pairs going down the course in their finals tomorrow afternoon. And then Sunday afternoon, when the weather's due to fine up, 23 degrees I saw, and I'm very excited about that. Might be able to take the puffer jacket off for just a little bit. That's when we'll have all the big A finals going down. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the atmosphere here at the Rozzi in Lucerne for those finals on Sunday afternoon. But Camilla, now only about 200 or so metres left to go for our leading sculler, Svetlana Bohoslavska.
Yeah, and one of the members of the formidable Ukrainian para-rowing team. They're always such a strong force at so many regattas. They enter boats across all of the categories, and they perform extremely well. You mentioned a few of Bohoslav's colleagues there, and also important to note actually that the coach of the Ukrainian para team, Vyacheslav Zagreba, was the 2022 World Rowing Coach of the Year, so just over a year ago. A fantastic achievement and good recognition for all of the work that he put into this extremely high performing team. Must note, though, Angeles Gutierrez of Mexico just entering the final 500 metres now, and important racing experience here for all of our crews competing in Lucerne, and also making history here, as it's important to note this is the first time that para-rowing has been included as part of the World Cup programme here on the Rozzi. So what a remarkable achievement here for all of these athletes, being able to contest in that first ever regatta after last year's showcase race.
Nur noch wenige Meter zurückzulegen für Svetlana Bohoslavska aus der Ukraine. Sie fährt hier einem ungefährdeten Sieg entgegen. Jetzt ist sie über die Ziellinie gefahren und kann sich feiern lassen für diesen Sieg in diesem Bahnverteilungsrennen. Wir werden sie dann morgen wiedersehen. Und das, wie schon meine Kollegin gesagt hat, dieses Jahr das erste Mal, dass die Para-Rennen ein Bestandteil sind vom Ruderweltcup in Luzern. Also ein Novum, nachdem letztes Jahr es ein Test-Event gab mit Pararennen am Sonntag. Nun die volle Integration dieser Athletinnen und Athleten und sicherlich eine tolle Ergänzung für den Ruderweltcup in Luzern.
So the final few strokes here for Angeles Gutierrez of Mexico, and she'll be across the line in just a few moments' time as we move on now to the next race, which is the preliminary in the PR2 men's single.
And they're coming up on the 1,000 metre mark already. And in this preliminary race, PR2 men's single in lane 1, Ireland 1 O'Donnell Lane 2, Ireland 2, McGowan. Lane 3, Italy 2, Mirabel. Lane 4, Ukraine, Vikilev. In lane 5, Mexico, Nieto Carpio. And in lane 6, Italy 1, Stefano E. And coming through the 500, Italy, Stefano E. Danielle leading it out since the start. In second place, Nieto Carpio of Mexico. They're the 1 and 2 at the moment. And Tiernan O'Donnell of Ireland in third place, just ahead of the other Italian sculler in fourth. Steve McGowan of Ireland, we used to see him racing with Katie O'Brien in the double, racing in the single here against Tiernan O'Donnell, both coached by the magnificent David Breen of Ireland. And it is Tiernan at the moment leading the race between those two, but out in front in the preliminary race, still Stefanoi is leading ahead of Nieto Carpio. They're the 1 and 2, and O'Donnell of Ireland in third, Mirabel Italy in fourth, McGowan of Ireland in fifth, and Vikilev of Ukraine in sixth. They're well through 1,000 metres, but not much separating them in the lead, just a little bit of clear water between first, second and third as they come down to the second half of the race here. Really nice rowing here from Stefani, leading it out ahead of Nieto Carpio.
So Daniela Stefanoni from Italy with the lead through the 1,000 metre mark. And it's worthwhile pointing out that these two Italian scullers are probably amongst the two oldest that we have here at the regatta. So Daniela Stefanoni is 57 and Jan Mirabili from Italy is 56. So age is definitely no barrier. And you do see a number of older athletes, particularly in the para. We also saw in the Estonian quad scull that qualified for the Olympics 240-somethings in that particular boat. So definitely taking away every single excuse I've ever got for not being able to do quite that well. But Stefanoni with the lead ahead of Nieto Carpio from Mexico. Tiernan O'Donnell sitting in third place. A reminder that this is a preliminary race and that the final for this will be tomorrow afternoon. Jan Mirabili sitting in fourth place, then McGowan and Vikliev from Ukraine, as we just see Stefanoni from Italy sitting, going through in first place in a very comfortable lead at the moment. It's 12 seconds between first and second. That's Tiernan O'Donnell from Ireland moving up into that second place ahead of Miguel Nieto Carpio from Mexico. Mirabili from Italy sitting in fourth place. He sat there throughout. Stephen McGowan from Ireland also in fifth place. And then Artem Mikhailiev from Ukraine in fourth. We've got about 400 metres or so left to go in this one. And Camilla, it's going to be an interesting battle for those minor placings in this preliminary race. Certainly our race leader looking very comfortable out in front, but not a lot between second and fifth.
Yeah, you do have to think sometimes in a preliminary, not everyone is showing all of their cards onto the table at this time because as we know, they've got a final to race tomorrow. They don't even have a rest day off, but they've also got to bear in mind they have to race the whole same field again tomorrow. So I think that we might see some athletes easing off into this final 250 metres, just maintaining their place, not giving away too much about their sprint, and it will be a nice scull home here for Daniele Stefanoni of Italy over in lane number 6 with a comfortable margin here ahead of his Italian compatriot Mirabile in lane number 3. The Irish scullers also keeping close check on one another over in lanes 1 and 2, O'Donnell and McGowan, but sandwiched just in between them, the Mexican Nieto Carpio.
Wenn man dann jetzt im Moment nach draußen schaut, sieht man ein Feld mit allen Flaggen, die grün, weiß und orange-rot sind. Ganz vorne ist es Italien, vor nochmals Italien und Mexiko. Es ist alles relativ nahe beisammen, aber eine dominante Leistung von Daniele Stefanoni, der hier einem Sieg entgegenfährt. Im Moment sieht es so aus, dass der Mexikaner noch auf dem zweiten Platz fährt, aber es ist sehr, sehr nahe beisammen. Wer macht hier das Rennen?
Yeah, forget what I said about about people keeping their places, because a huge sprint between a blanket of 4 crews behind the Italian. An amazing finish here for all of those crews. It was Stefanoni that won out, but a sort of trickle of crews, especially close between Mirabile and Nieta Capio. It was just the Italian that edged out into second place there ahead of Mexico. Between the Irish scullers, it was O'Donnell that triumphed over Stephen McGowan, and then finally Vikavliev of Ukraine is about 3 strokes out from completing this preliminary race in the PR2 men's single sculls.
Back up the course, we're coming to the next preliminary race, the PR3 men's pair. Another 2-boat race here in Ukraine in lane 1 and Australia in lane 2. And coming through 1,000 metres, it's the Ukrainian crew who are leading, but just by 2 seconds, so just over a length and a bit of water between first and second as they come through the race there. Young crews racing here in the bow seat of the Ukrainian, just an 18-year-old Ivan Kuprichuk in the bow seat, and in the Australian stroking it, Tobiah Gafsassin, 17 years of age, one of the youngest competitors here, and they're just coming up on the 1,000 metre mark. So youth and experience between both crews coming through 1,000, and there's still an overlap there. So the Ukrainians leading it out just by 3/4 of a length ahead of the Australians in a 2-boat race. It's great to see the overlap as they come down to the second half of the race.
Wir haben nur 2 Boote im nächsten Rennen bei der 1000-Meter-Marke. Und zwar ist es im PR3 2 ohne Steuermann. Aber das ist ein ganz interessantes Match-Race. Es führt die Ukraine mit den ganz jungen Ruderer Stanislav Samolyuk und Ivan Kuprichuk, die beide noch keine 20 sind, der eine wenigstens, der andere 23, aber wirklich eine sehr junge Mannschaft. Und auch im australischen Boot hat es mit Tobiah Gafsassin einen 17-jährigen Ruderer. Ein ganz interessantes Rennen. Ich würde mal behaupten, das ist überhaupt noch nicht entschieden, obwohl Ukraine bis jetzt das ganze Rennen angeführt hatte.
So all 4 of these rowers in the men's PR3 pairs with a little bit of a story behind them. Ivan Kuprichuk, as Richie mentioned, only 18 years of age. He is the reigning world champion in the PR3 men's pairs. He won that last year in Belgrade. And then Stanislav Samliuk, we saw him in the PR3 mixed double sculls, and very famously with that proposal on the podium at the European Championships at Szeged recently. In the Australian crew, we've got 2 newcomers to the international scene. In the bow seat, Nick Bartlett. Now, he's a little bit older. He's originally from the UK. He's the head of rowing at Gippsland Grammar School in country Victoria. And in the last 12 months, he's got his Australian citizenship. He's got himself classified as a para-rower, won a couple of medals at the national titles, represented Victoria, and now we see him here representing Australia in the bow seat of the men's PR3 men's pairs. In the stroke seat of that boat, with the big mop of curly hair, it's Toby Gafsassin. He's from Southport on the Gold Coast in Queensland. He's moved up to Brisbane, so still only in his first year of rowing at the University of Queensland Boat Club up in Brisbane, racing on the Big Brown Snake there. And he's recently, the both of them have been spending a bit of time in Canberra under coach James Loveday for the Australian mixed PR3 Coxed 4 that will race at the Paralympics in Paris in a couple of months' time. So looking forward to seeing what those guys can do. But as I say, they're on their world debut at the moment. They are a little bit off the pace, so they're rating 34, but they have now dropped down to about 17, 18 metres on that leading Ukrainian crew as they come now into the red buoys, marking the last 250 metres, Camilla.
Yeah, you mentioned how we've got some very young athletes in this field of the PR3 men's pair, just 17 and 18 years old in both of these crews. And we talked in the previous race about how we have older competitors as well. The winner of the previous preliminary race, 57 years of age. So a huge range of athletes contending across these categories. It just goes to show you, like you said, that you're never too young or never too old to be contesting on the world stage. But a brilliant performance here by Ukraine in this boat type, and with the world champion on board in the bow seat, Ivan Kuprichuk. They've made great work of this last 2K, and they've held this margin of a couple of lengths over Australia in this preliminary race, which will give them great confidence for the final tomorrow.
Das Rennen im PR3 Männer Zweierone geht an das Boot aus der Ukraine vor Australien. Beide Boote werden wir dann morgen im Finale wieder sehen, wenn dann auch die Medaillen vergeben werden.
And back up the course now. We're getting ready for our last two races of the day. Two more preliminary races. It's the women's eights, and in the men's eights will close us out for today. So glad to see that the rain has moved on. No wind as well, so ideal conditions. A little bit chilly as they take off of the start here in the women's eights. In lane 1 we'll have GB, in lane 2 Canada, lane 3 Australia, and lane 4 USA. So all these crews racing just the preliminary race, but it'll be interesting to see the tactics here. They had to launch earlier on in the rain, a little bit cool, as I said, coming off the start, so I'm sure they'll all be anxious to get in off the water as quickly as possible, recover, warm up, and get ready for the final when it's on later on in the week. Off of the start in leading it, it's the Australian crew coming off at 44 strokes per minute, being matched on a stroke but not on speed by the crew from Canada in second place coming through the first 100, and Great Britain in third, but USA very much in touch as well. Fastest boat on the water is still Australia as they look to stride it out, coming through 250 metres. They're leading it out. Canada dropping it down now to 38 strokes per minute and moving into their race pace, settling down. The other crew's still up in the 40s, so racing it out here from the first few hundred metres. They'll be shortly coming on 500, and very little between all of the crews, just 5 metres if that between first and fourth, so overlap right the way through as they come off the start. Still leading it out and taking the lead in the Australian crew, Paige Bard, there's 22 years of age, and Hayley Verbunt, the Cox 21, coached by John Keogh. They're dishing it out here up at the start, coming through 500 in a blistering pace, just ahead of GB now, who on the surge are getting the better of the crew from US in third and Canada back in fourth. Canada originally in second place coming off the start, now being pushed back to fourth. But in the eighth, with just 3 seconds separating first to fourth, anything can happen as they come through the race here. Coming down into the second quarter, it's still the Australian crew pushing out, and they're doing their best to shake off the challenge that's coming from the crew from USA now moving into second place. It looks like just ahead of GB. So they're really having a battle here for second and third. And the Canadian crew moving into fourth, but still maintaining contact here. So all to play for through the first quarter. It's Australia leading it out ahead of GB, USA and Canada.
800 Meter sind zurückgelegt in diesem Bahnverteilungsrennen der Achter der Frauen. Und es führt Australien ganz klar mit etwa einer halben Länge Vorsprung vor den anderen Booten, die mehr oder weniger praktisch gleich aufliegen. Also USA ist an zweiter Stelle, und dann kann man fast nicht beurteilen, ob Kanada oder Großbritannien Dritte sind. Hier wechselt die Führung zwischen diesem Platz immer wieder ab. Also manchmal führt Großbritannien wieder ganz knapp, dann wieder Kanada. Aber an der Spitze des Feldes Australien vor USA und den beiden Großbritannien und Kanada.
You love a bit of big boat energy to finish up the day, and it is the Australians leading through the 1,000, but I tell you what, there's only a canvas between first, second, third and fourth. The Australians leading out the USA, Canada sitting in third place, Great Britain in fourth place, but I wouldn't count any of those crews out. A couple of things to mention here. We've got Rowan McKellar from the Great Britain crew. She's sitting in the 2 seat, and it is her birthday today, so looking to try and get a win in the prelim to have a happy birthday. Out in front, though, the Americans have now made the push on the Australians. We talked a bit about some of the younger people within the crews for the Australians. Megan Woznicki, 7-time Olympic and World Championship gold medalist. She is 41 and in the 6th seat of that USA crew that have now gone out and hit the lead. It's the Americans with the lead coming through 1,300 metres. They've got a metre couple of metres over the Australians. Now, we saw this in the World Championships. The Australians led early and then dropped off the pace a little bit, coming down towards the end. The Canadians are sitting in third place. They're only a couple of metres back. And then Great Britain sitting in fourth place at the moment, looking like they're just starting to drop off. But the Americans, with that extra speed, as they come up now to the 1,500 metre timing point, and we'll get a bit of an idea as to the margins. It's the USA. They've moved up into first place. As we just see the time come up now, Australia is still sitting in second, less than a second between first and second. And then it's Canada and Great Britain. But Camilla, with 400 metres to go, it is only 2 seconds between first and fourth. Can anyone, though, head off the Americans as they make their final sprint?
This has been quite the launch, the hard launch, in fact, I feel it was called, of the new look USA Women's 8, who was so dominant about a decade ago, running through both the London Olympics and beyond, and before that, in fact. But they're back on the scene. They are back with a bang, and they're up at 38 strokes a minute here, leading out this field. The Australians also with a new look combination here that has managed to sustain that advantage over Canada and Great Britain into the final 500, something they didn't manage to achieve on every occasion with the old combination. So a great improvement from them, sitting in front of both the Canadian crew and Great Britain.
Die US-Amerikanerinnen haben sich am Anfang etwas zurückgehalten, aber dann mächtig aufgedreht und fahren hier nun einem Sieg entgegen in diesem Bahnverteilungsrennen. Immer Frau Nachter, dahinter dann Australien, welche nun aber bedrängt wird von den stark aufkommenden Kanadierinnen. Können sich die Australierinnen hier noch halten? Dahinter dann Großbritannien, welche nicht ganz mit der Geschwindigkeit mitgehen kann. Also ein packender Zweikampf zwischen Australien und Kanada.
Oh, what an electric finish here, but it's going to be 4 seats to the USA. Bow balls separating Australia, who just snatch it over Canada in this preliminary. 3/4 of a length then back to Great Britain, who will finish in fourth. But all four crews to face off once again in the final, which will take place as one of the latter races in Sunday's final programme.
Straight back to the action here. Our last race of the day, the preliminary race in the men's eights. In lane 1, Netherlands. In lane 2, Germany. Lane 3, Great Britain. Lane 4, Australia. And lane 5, USA. Already coming up to the 1,000 metre mark. A little bit of a surprise here to see the leaders through 500 were USA. Quite a young crew from the US, taking it up to the Great British crew. Of course, winners of the European races, World Cup 1 and the World Championships as well. So they're the crew to watch. But USA really putting it up to them as they come up to the 1,000 metre mark. Back then to the Netherlands in third place, just ahead of Australia. It's probably on the surge between Netherlands and Australia, who was in third, who was in fourth, and Germany back in fifth place off the pace here. And we're just watching the 1,000 metre mark coming up now, and it's still leading it out. It's the US. They go through with just about a third of a length ahead of Great Britain in second. Bit of a surprise here. The Great British crew struggling. Australia looking really well as well, right beside them in third place. They're the 1, 2 and 3, little bit further back then from the Netherlands, but within striking distance, and Germany some way back in fifth.
Ein Klassefeld, dieser Achter. Es sind zwar nur 5 Boote am Start, aber das ist die Crème de la Crème. Wir haben an der Spitze das Boot aus den USA, das ja an der Weltmeisterschaft den Quotenplatz nicht erreichen konnte mit einem 6. WM-Rang, aber jetzt die finale Qualifikationsregatta gewonnen hat. Und sie sind hier auch an der Spitze. Das zeigt, wie stark die Felder sind bei den Qualifikationsregatten. An zweiter Stelle dann Großbritannien, die Weltmeister, die Europameister und die Weltcupsieger in Varese. Dann haben wir an dritter Stelle Australien, vierte dann Holland und am Schluss des Feldes Deutschland, die Zweite an der Europameisterschaften waren. Die Holländer waren Zweite an der Weltmeisterschaft 23.
Well, this was always going to be a fascinating race, the prelim for the men's eights, and it is the USA looking to make it a men's and women's win in the eights, in the big boats. The Great Britain crew sitting in second place. It's been a while since they've been beaten. As Richie said, they're the reigning world champions. They're the European champions, the World Cup 1 champions. They're sitting in second through the prelim. The Australian crew a little bit off the pace at the moment through the third 500 metres. They've just dropped back a little bit, and it's going to be interesting to see see how they go in the final on Sunday. Spencer Turren, Alex Purnell and Jack Hargraves moving from the gold medal winning 4 that won in Tokyo into the 8s as Australia look to break an Olympic drought in the biggest boat of them all. They've never won an Olympic gold medal. Will they be able to do so in Paris in 2024? But out in front with 200 metres to go, it is the Americans leading the British, Australia, the Netherlands and Germany.
Yeah, this really would be a turnaround on the phone book here to see Great Britain beaten out in this men's 8s event, one that they've completely wrapped their arms around, not only this season, but last season and the season before that as well. But they're now trying to charge down the USA. I've been looking at the boat speeds. They're currently winning out on that metric, but not translating currently to the water, because the USA up at 42 strokes a minute, I think are going to hold it through to the line here ahead of Great Britain.
Die Überraschung ist perfekt. USA schlägt Großbritannien in diesem Bahnverteilungsrennen im Männer-Achter. Dahinter dann ein Zweikampf um das dritte Platz zwischen den Niederlanden und Australien. Ich würde sagen, die Niederlande haben sich noch ganz knapp durchgesägt vor Australien.
So the USA win out over Great Britain. A sensational 500 metres there from the Netherlands sees them come up right alongside the USA to try and claim that third spot. I think it was a photo finish. We're waiting for the confirmation of result there. The Dutch indeed managed to put themselves out into that third place position that would translate to a medal in Sunday's final if they can hold on to that spot. Heartbreak for Australia, who just pushed back into fourth. And then finally, it's the crew from Germany that round off the day here and round off the men's 8s at World Rowing Cup 2 Lucerne. So, folks, that concludes day one of racing here at World Rowing Cup 2 Lucerne, Switzerland. But we'll be back again tomorrow. We're kicking off at 9 a.m. local time with the PR1 women's single sculls repachages. We'll be running all through the day until around about 3 in the afternoon, where we'll finish off the day's racing with the D final of the men's single sculls. We'll also have some medal races to look forward to tomorrow in the non-Olympic and Paralympic boat classes. So be sure to join us once again. A big thank you to the whole team here making this event happen, and a huge thank you to all of our commentators up at the 1,000-metre marker. Brian Richie Richardson, Stuart John and Thomas Schurter, and of course to Michael Schmidt here in the tower with me.
Das war's für heute von uns hier oben vom Zielturm. Wir haben unglaublich spannende Rennen gesehen. Wir haben einen Olympiasieger im Einer gesehen, Stefanos Duskos, der die Halbfinalqualifikation verpasst hat. Wir haben einen US-amerikanischen Achter gesehen, welcher die Weltmeister aus Großbritannien geschlagen hat. Also alles ist aufgelegt für 2 weitere unglaublich spannende Tage hier am Weltcup in Luzern. Morgen geht es dann weiter um 9 Uhr mit dem PR1 Frauen-Einer und dann das erste Halbfinale in einer olympischen Bootsklasse dann um 9:22 Uhr, 9:32 Uhr dann der Männer-Zweierrunde mit Schweizer Beteiligung mit Roman Rösli und Andrin Gulich. Die Rennen gehen dann weiter bis kurz nach 15 Uhr mit dem D-Finale im Männer-Einer. Von unserer Seite war es das. Wir danken allen, die sich heute eingesetzt haben und den widrigen Wetterbedingungen heute Nachmittag getrotzt haben, hier die Rennen verfolgt haben, und danken Timon Vernas und seinem Team für den tollen Einsatz, damit diese Regatta möglich gemacht wurde. Von unserer Seite, das war's. From us for now, it's goodbye.
This is not an ad. It's a warning. I know a place that will break you into 1,000 pieces, that will enter through those cracks and will stay and live in you. Run. Run. No, better stay in Manhattan. Get an apartment in Berlin. Stay away from them. Stay away from Lorca, Paco, and Picasso. Don't ask about Lola. Don't listen to the poets who have been here. Ay, Caballo Grande. Ay, Lord Nieve. Ay. But in spite of everything, it occurs to you to visit Andalusia. Don't say I didn't warn you. Be careful of the Andalusian crush.
Was uns bewegt. Mobilität ohne Fahrplan.
Auf den Sommer mit deinen Freunden. Freunde, die mit dir steil gehen. Faltschlössli verbindet.